Hey there YouTube, Samsound Rocks here. This is the Goblin Mini V3, which I got in the mail last week, and I wanted to play around with it a bit, try some different builds in it and stuff before I brought you a review, and so that's what we're going to do today. Right now I got some dual Claptons in there, and I got to tell you, it tastes fantastic, and I'm getting good vapor and even good airflow too, and I'll talk more about those things as I show you how I like to wick it for my particular build, and also give you some other pointers and just my thoughts on it. All right, so it's time to re-wick my Goblin Mini V3 here, so I thought I'd go ahead and show y'all how I've been wicking it. So let's go ahead and unscrew the tank here, and you can see how my wicking coils are looking a little gritty there, so definitely time to dry burn those coils and re-wick it. Alright, so it's all cleaned up. The inner diameter of these coils, by the way, is 2.5 millimeters. You can kind of see where the wicking channels are. I think a lot of the videos up to this point that I've seen didn't really get a good look at the wicking channels on the dual coil, so I wanted you to be able to see that. Basically, we're just going to tuck the ends of the wick right down into there very carefully. Alright, so I got the rolled up wick installed and the basic trim happening there. So now I'm just going to go and basically continue trimming this and tucking. So all I'm really going to do here, and this has worked well for me. Twice now I've wicked this puppy using this way, and it's worked pretty well. Basically, I'm just going to cut off kind of an angle there, you know, the old mustache cut, if you will. Basically, kind of like that. Let's see. Let me take a preliminary look here. And with these juice channels too, you have to pretty much go straight down because it's got that kind of that outer ring, and so you're not going to be able to really tuck at an angle. You got to get I'm trying these for the first time. These little angled ones. It should make it a little bit easier. And I think I got the right amount of wick here. So I'm just going to gently start tucking it down in there without squishing it too much. Just kind of guiding it in place. Alright, that corner looks pretty decent, I think. Let's work on this corner. Tucked in there basically. Of course, got to prime the wick, and then of course once that's doused in a little bit of juice, that'll help it settle down in there real nice. This is one of my own creations that I've been working on. Once I've perfected it, of course, I will publish the recipe on ELR, but it is a basically it's got the what is that called? Lemon Sicily. It's also got some dulce de leche. Very, very tasty. So that's what we're going to be using today. Let me slide us back over here towards the center. Okay. And I probably already went a little too overboard with that. So that might give me a little dribble once we actually put the tank on here and everything. But alright, I think that's a good, just a little bit of saturation to kind of help things stay into place. It's kind of like hairspray, you know.
just to give a little bit of medium hold while we reassemble everything. Kind of like assembly lube, like you might use with an engine. Now I'm just rambling. Alright, that looks pretty good. There we go. Alright, I think that looks pretty good. And, of course, I left my tank and the other parts over on the sink. I will be right back. Alright, and I'm back. So, I will go ahead and very delicately start to place this. Just ease it on there. Slowly, gently, just turn it until the threads catch. Should feel nice and smooth, which it does. Okay, awesome. Now I am going to take this little base off of here because I do not want to torque this on here. For the to tighten up this, I found what I like to use is my ceramic tweezers. I'll just got the where the fill ports are, the fill hole, and I'll use that rather than grabbing onto these threads with your fingers, which, believe it or not, can give you a little bit of a, can cut up your fingers a little bit, just on the very surface. Nothing, not going to bleed or anything. But all right, so we got that, and she's ready to juice up. So I'm going to go ahead and actually put this on my mod and juice it up. Alright, so, and whenever I re-wick or recoil an atomizer, I always like to, when I'm filling it back up, I guess I'm paranoid, I like to not fill it up all the way the first time, just to make sure all my stuff, okay, good, my juice flow is closed, and my airflow is closed to minimum. Right? Please tell me I'm right. Yeah. Alright. That's actually pretty good. And put the top. Now when you put this, screw this top back on, because the juice flow control is the tank, and it opens up this way, so I always got to make sure it'll actually hold the tank and not the mod, as I'm tightening this down, so that it doesn't open up my airflow before I'm ready for, or my juice flow before I'm ready for it. I will point out this drip tip is actually from my Zephyrus V2, also by UD. It's not the one that came with this. The one that came with this is much shorter and a little bit narrower, and it has a smaller bore, and it pretty much has your mouth right up against the top ring there. So I gave this a shot. It's got the same, it's got a slightly larger bore. It's also rifled though, and this actually works quite well. And it gives you a little bit more personal space when using this, the Goblin V3 here. So got that on there, and see if she held up, no leaks or anything. All right, so we got her all topped off here. Got the airflow is open, juice is open, juice flow control is open. Let's see how she does. Oh yeah, it's some nice flavor there. That lemon and dulce de leche combo is just, man, it's something special. I tell you. Take a look at the air bubbles as it's re-wicking itself there. Nice big air bubbles. Yeah, so there you have it, the Goblin Mini V3 by UD. One thing if I didn't mention, the anti-spitback is not installed when you receive this. They've got it in the spares now, so some folks were
worried about whether or not that came out or not, well, it comes in the spare. So it's up to you. You can install it if you like. I have not had any spitback issues. I've just been enjoying this nice, smooth airflow coming through this sucker. And you know, I just pretty much use the tanks on my commute normally, but I regularly would use an RDA, and I don't really find this to be terribly restrictive at all. It's a nice pull through this thing. In fact, I often find myself vaping this, you know, even after I get to work. I'll just continue, you know, topping it off and vaping it sometimes just because I enjoy it that much. On that note, though, those 2 mils do go fast. Like I said, I primarily use the tanks for when I commute. I got about a 30-minute drive in the morning, 20 to 30 minutes depending on what time I leave, you know, what kind of traffic I hit, and I meter my vaping during my commute. So I'll do some pulls when I first get on the road, and then I'll put it down once I get to a certain point until I get to another point, and then I'll pick it up, do some more pulls until I get to Starbucks. And put it down, of course, and then once I leave Starbucks, I'll pull on it the rest of the way to work. And I usually have just enough juice to get a few pulls off it as I'm walking across the parking lot. And that's the 2 mils. On the way home with traffic, I got to be even more measured to make sure it'll last me through traffic, because this is not easy to fill while you're driving. The Zephyrus was pretty nice. You just gave it a little twist, and you could essentially lawn dart the bottle right in there and give it a few squeezes, kind of glance at it. Okay, it's good. A little short twist and it's filled, you know. This one with the because you got to be careful about the juice flow and the airflow, and then unscrewing this, and then you've got the you saw how there's the it's got the standard fill area like you see on a lot of these tanks, where it's got the grooves kind of run I guess semicircular with those little pieces that you know, so if you don't want to make a mess, you want to make sure you get it in the actual holes. But so not super easy to fill while you're driving, which I don't recommend doing anyway, because that's distracted driving, isn't it? So I do have the extension piece to put on here. I've tried that a little bit for when I have to run maybe some multiple errands and things, and that's pretty straightforward. It does decrease the flavor just a tiny bit, but it's not at all unbearable, and it's still a nice smooth vape. You know, it's definitely worthwhile for those longer trips, or you know, like I said, if you got to run around town to do some things, you know, that kind of thing. So it's good for that. But oh, there you have it. I really dig this tank. Hopefully, you learned at least maybe a couple of things from my video that you haven't seen in some of the other reviews, and hopefully it gave you a little bit more info to help you make the decision of whether or not you want to give it a go. You know, for 24 bucks, I mean, you know. You could certainly do worse. Like I said, I really enjoyed it. It's my favorite tank I've owned so far. I initially had an Orchid V2 clone that I really enjoyed, but the bottom fill was killing me, especially once I had to swap out the O-ring on that fill screw, and that thing just leaked all the time. And then the Zephyrus V2, which I enjoyed very much, and then this just definitely has more flavor. So this is my guy now for my commutes. Yeah, so y'all have a nice night, and peace out from Florida.